All right, this is your tutorial on using colored pencils. So you might recognize this drawing from the first video that I did way back. And I've got my colored pencils here. Just for your information, if you have the means and you want to get some really good ones, you can get these in the craft section at Walmart. They are Prismacolor. They are quite expensive. But if you have the means to do so, you can get some of these. Otherwise, just regular old Crayola colored pencils are great. They work fine. Rose Art and Crazy Art, Rose Art especially, are not very good. So try not to get those. And do not, under any circumstances, get the colored pencils with erasers on them. They are garbage. Okay, so you shouldn't be able to erase a colored pencil. There's just something wrong with that, and those pencils do not work well anyway. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox on colored pencils. But so this is your video on like how we can go about using those properly. So let me get my phone mounted again here. I have to hold my phone and then mount it so that mount it in the holder so that the orientation of the video stays where I want it to. Otherwise it tries to flip it up the other way, and nobody likes the video like that. So let's get that fixed. All right. So so for this, you'll need your colored pencils, and so we're going to pretend that this is my drawing transferred, and that I did it very lightly. Although some of these lines are very dark, so I might, if you do have some really dark lines, you might say, okay, those are the lines that I'm going to go back over with a black colored pencil. And we can come back in and clean these up a little bit later, but just for now, I'm going to go ahead and lay this down. And really, I didn't go back and clean this drawing up much, just in the interest of time. Again, I'm trying to keep these as short as I can, so I'm not, boring you all with sitting here and drawing all this stuff up. Some of these lines I can go back over with black. Okay. Some lines, if they're light enough, you might take something like a certain color and lay it in with that color. So let's take a blue here. I'll make this line here blue. Okay, like that. So you might do some of that. Now keep in mind, you need to stick to your color scheme. So make sure you review the Google Slides presentation on color schemes, because you're going to need to choose, well, the whole Google Slides presentation is on color theory. The last few slides are on specific color schemes within color theory. So make sure you're looking at those color schemes to figure out which kind you want to use. I'm going to leave that open to you all. It's up to you which color scheme you use. Just know that when I go to score these, I'm going to be looking to see that you accurately portrayed one of those color schemes, okay? So that will be part of your assignment. Now, colored pencils, they're different from regular pencils, obviously. So you definitely, with colored pencils, you always want to use a little handheld sharpener. If you happen to have a proper pencil sharpener at home, don't put your colored pencils into it. It'll sharpen them and it'll keep working for a while, but eventually it will gum it up and it'll stop sharpening pencils well. The reason being, colored pencils are made of wood and the pigment is suspended in wax. So wax, if you've ever had any beeswax or anything, you know how it feels. It can gum things up pretty easy. Anyway, so that's that. Now, let's talk about, proper use of colored pencils. I'm gonna have to sharpen a few of these. Let me get some orange. This orange one needs sharpening too. I'm sorry, I should have done this before I started filming. But that's all right. We can make it work. Now, so when you're using colored pencils, like say I want to take, and I'm doing a complementary color scheme, so I'm going to do blue and orange. I might come in with a lighter color or a warmer color in this case, like say yellow, and I'm very lightly going to lay that down. Okay? Now I want this band that I'm laying the color on here overall to be orange. That doesn't mean I'm not going to use some of those colors that are near it to kind of give it a little bit more variation. Okay, so I just lightly lay that yellow down. Then I'm going to come back with that orange. I'm going to start to lay it down. And so as I get up toward that blue line, I'm going to let that orange fade into that yellow. So see how I'm holding the pencil? You know, I'm just laying it down a little bit at a time. If you come in and you're like bearing down, you know, you're going to get your full saturation of the color, and we don't want that. Okay, we want to come back and do that later, only in certain areas. So it's like there's my orange, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back on this side, and I'm really going to, that's where I'm going to lay it down, is like in this area. And I might bring that light orange all the way, almost all the way to that blue, and just let that yellow just barely peek through there. Okay. We'll just lay that down. So we want to have some variation in the color. I don't want to just see solid colors. I want it to, you know, it's like shading like we did with the first drawing. You want that variation between the light and the dark. So we're going to fade that out so we have that variety in the color, right? And it also will help with like that notion of space and kind of giving things a little bit more interesting look. So now, if you happen to have one, I wouldn't expect anybody to have one of these, but they are really handy. This is called a blending pencil. You can do this with white. Just know that if you do use white, it's going to lighten your color a little bit. But basically, this is a colored pencil without any pigment in it, so it's just the wax. So what you do with it is you take it and you can use it to smooth your color and blend it together. So you can see the difference where those colors are blended and where they're not. If you don't have one of these, it's okay. You know, just do your best with it. And again, I'm rushing like I have been for all of these videos, so you should really take your time with it. Again, you can do the same thing with white, but just keep in mind that white is going to lighten your color a little bit. And so you might not get the same effect you're going for. So you may have to go over it with white and then come back and like resaturate it. And so with white, and if you're doing this with like the color itself, it's called pressure blending. So I'm going to come back with the orange because I want to deepen that up a little bit more back over that white where I've blended it. And you're not going to get the same effect. It's not going to be as like clean looking probably as it is with a blending pencil. But again, if you don't have a blending pencil, it's okay. Okay, so there's my shape. There, you know, there's little touches of yellow in there, and that's okay. We want that variation in the color just because it makes it look nicer. So you know, think about that. You know, blend light to dark too. You know, say I've got a blue. And like say, let's pick a shape here. Let's take this partial circle here. So I'm going to come on this side, and I'm going to lay that darker blue in. And I'm going to let it kind of fade out. Then I'm going to come in with a lighter blue. And you can just do this with one color. I'm going to use multiple just because I've got it. If you don't have multiple colors, that's fine. And then I might come in with the white on this side. And I might actually bring that all the way over here just a little bit. Come in with the white on this side, and I'm going to use that to really blend that through. Now I would have taken my time and really got up in here really nicely, but you know, if you've got a blending pencil, which I have promptly lost here it is. I can come back and really clean that up. Again, normally I would be taking my time a little bit more with this, but just in the interest of saving you all having to listen to me for forever, you know, we're just going to do it this way. So I'm going to come in here and clean this up just a little bit, just to make you all think I know what I'm doing here, which I do. But if you're rushing, that's when you make mistakes. So, you know, make sure you're taking your time. All right. So like even for myself, I don't like having to rush through something. I like to take my time and make sure I'm doing it properly. Because if you're not, then what's the point? You know, if you're not taking the time to do something properly, then why even try to do it? So there, we've got that color laid in there. So, you know, pay attention to that, that Google slide presentation. That's really going to help you to kind of understand which colors work together and how you can blend them. You know, certain colors aren't going to blend together. If I try to blend blue and orange, I'm going to get brown. And anytime you blend color complements together, you're going to end up with brown. So certain colors, and if you don't want brown, don't blend your color complements together. So certain colors are not going to blend together with others. So say you've got something like purple, which has red and blue in it, and then you have something like green, which has yellow and blue in it. Because green and red are complements, that purple is going to turn that color more of a brown color, okay? So just be mindful of that. If you want nice clean colors, then you need to be thinking about that in your drawing, okay? Just remember what I went over as far as like blending the colors together. You know, you can use certain colors for your line work. Pay attention to your lines and what colors you're using for your lines. You don't necessarily have to just use black. I want to get rid of the pencil, so like if you can see pencil somewhere, it needs to be either gone over with a black colored pencil, or you can go over it with a color. But we definitely want to, and you don't have to do it this way. You know, you could just color the shapes in and then come back and do your line work in all black. But they look a bit more interesting if you do that. Anyway, good luck with it. If you need any help or have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to oblige. You all have a good day.